Andy, as a sports fan, I've like struggled this season with like my affinity for my sports teams. It's been
Yeah,
hard, you know.
yeah,
So like I've recounted a lot of those things, but I have a celebration because the Baltimore Orioles did clinch a playoff spot last night over the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees had already clinched a playoff spot. The Yankees are going to win the division, but we beat the Yankees last night. In
yeah.
addition to like a another team's loss, we clinched a playoff spot. It was weird. Like the Orioles had a run between 2012 and 2017 where they made the playoffs a couple of years. I had thought that they made it back to back a couple times. This is the first time since 96 and 97 that the Orioles actually made back-to-back playoff appearances. So, hey, look, it's been a grind this last couple months with the Orioles. I've talked about it on the pod, but it is good to be back in the playoffs. I was a little stressed out, but
Yeah,
anyway.
it always feels good, right? When your team gets there, climbs that mountain, you go into the postseason, anything's possible, right? It's exciting. So, not that I care about baseball really, but I know it's fun to hear you talk on it. I've seen Tigers fans only because of the Lions, but I've seen Tigers fans be really excited about Detroit this year, and it's just fun to get excited about the playoffs and to have that hope for the off season. So, I'm happy for you, Dave. I hope your Orioles can maybe do really well and surprise everybody.
Yeah, well, thank you, Andy. It was fuck the Tigers, by the way, because they beat the Orioles for the last six times they played. I thought the Orioles, but the Tigers are playing really well. I think they're one of the top teams in baseball since like mid-August. And they decided like they had paid a couple high price players and they weren't performing. Those players wound up sitting and they brought up some youth and those players have been playing
Yeah.
great baseball. And so Tigers are likely, it seems like they're going to make the playoffs too. They played their last three games against the Chicago White Sox. Andy, I don't know if you've been following this story, but the White Sox have now lost 121 games this year. That's a modern major league record. The previous record was 120 losses.
Wow.
That I mean, how do you like 121 losses out of 162 games, mind
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
That's tough to keep grinding every day.
It's tough to keep right. It's tough for your fans. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
The Lions have had some stinker seasons, I've lived through those, and like it just hurts. It hurts when your team sucks. And it's just,
Yeah.
you want to cheer for them. You know you're going to get your ass kicked every game. It's just so frustrating. So, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Chicago. I guess the Cubs are a little bit better than they used to be, right? I think so. Is it that they can only have one good Chicago team or something like that, maybe?
Yeah, no, that might be the case. Though many years they've had two bad Chicago teams, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
true. So, all right, Andy, let's jump into our segments today. Let's start with a health update. I think I kind of, I told everyone back in, I think was it August that I wanted to lose 10 pounds or get down to 210 or something around that
Yeah.
weight. I
Yeah.
was 219.2 when I started my journey. The goal was to feel better by the wedding, which was my, so try to get down. But I didn't quite get there, Andy. My final number, the official number, the Monday check-in, 213.2,
Nice.
even though I had been, like in the two something, a little lower than that before or during the week. I didn't count it because it has to be that Monday, right? So, but I will say that Andy, I went through the weekend, the wedding weekend. Andy, I'm 211.6 now.
Good for
So,
you, man. That's, I
I
I
mean,
mean, you set goals to strive towards them. You know what I mean? And you don't have to get them exactly on time, but it's the journey to get to that goal that I think is so exciting. That's a new goal, whether it's losing weight or
yep.
getting stronger, getting faster, whatever. But it's that commitment. I think, what you've been through there, I think we talked about this before, right? When it comes to getting stronger or when it comes to losing weight or other fitness goals, whatever they might be, it's always harder than you think it's going to be, and it always takes longer than you think it's going to take. Like it just does. It just is but you've been consistent on this now, and you're killing it. That's considerable progress, and it's been what's great, Dave, is it's been steady progress, And I was talking to a colleague who lost a lot of weight this year, and he was saying how he didn't know he felt bad when he was heavier, but now he sees how good he feels that he's lost the extra weight. He had a bit of
Hmm.
extra weight, And I mean, you're going through that same process now, just like getting down to the weight that you feel healthiest and most fit. And like, I think it's awesome. I'm really excited for you. I'm proud of you. It's awesome.
Yeah, I will say, and that, like, I feel confident I'm going to get my 210,
Yeah.
probably, probably the beginning of October or whatever, whenever that occurs ultimately. But now I'm set at 205 level by 205 by Thanksgiving, Andy. That's where I want to be. So,
So you can enjoy your gluttony on Thanksgiving and go to
yeah,
230 right now, that one
exactly.
week.
Exactly. And here's the thing, like over like the first couple weeks was tough because the biggest thing for me and for anyone who's listening and cares about losing weight or whatever, it was like the after dinner,
Yeah.
like I would have a healthy dinner, and my wife makes really great food, but I would have a healthy dinner and that wasn't enough. I would have to snack on ice cream or stuff. And look, I I can still do that. It has to just be responsible consumption. And it can't be like at 9 o'clock at night. It has to be like so my goal is to try to cut off all eating by 7:30. If I can do earlier, I will do earlier, but 7:30 is usually my cutoff. And then it's just around that. But I'm not eating two bowls of ice or a bowl with three scoops of ice cream with syrup and all this other stuff, or a swarm of cookies. It's yeah, I have a little snack pack pudding cup with whipped cream, and it'd be good. So, um,
Well, get
speaking
your
of,
calories. I mean, just make a quick point, Dave. I mean, I think, we've talked a lot about the Arnold newsletter, the Pump Club community, Adam Bornstein, Daniel Ketchel, and, a consistent theme is it's all about the calorie deficit, right? That
yeah,
you can have a really healthy dinner, but when you go and crush, 6 scoops of ice cream afterwards, the calories shoot through the roof, the sugars shoot through the roof. You blow the deficit. You've now eaten more calories than you've spent. You can't lose weight that way, right? And so just cutting out those things. And I think if, for me, Dave, one thing I've noticed is that the discipline of writing down what you eat is so helpful because when you see it, you don't want to write down, I had 6 scoops of ice cream, and you don't do it. And you see the calories
yeah.
you're consuming and the calories you're burning, and you make that progress, you get that deficit. But anyway, sorry, I know you're taking us somewhere here, so I'll stop.
No, no, no. It's fine. My only thing, I think, Arnold's newsletter this week actually talked about like the calorie deficit or whether it's fasting or something. It's ultimately the calorie deficit that
Yeah,
winds you down. Because look, you can do fasting like you can commit to fasting, but if you gorge 5,000 calories in that window, it doesn't matter. Like
yeah.
it's not going to matter. And so, speaking of dieting though, Andy, did you see the on the Cowboys Ravens game? Obviously, Derrick Henry is massive running back for the Ravens. He played for Tennessee before. They gave an overview of his diet. Did you see this, Andy?
So only because you told me about it, Dave. But let's get into it. Let's get into it.
So according to the reporting, Henry's football diet. Now maybe he eats more in the off season, but no fried food, understand that. No dairy, no gluten, no artificial sugars, but Henry doesn't eat until 4 or 5 in the evening
Yeah,
unless maybe a banana or avocado before practice, Andy. Like he's a football player. Like he's expending a ton of calories
yeah,
in physical, like even not on the field, but like in the gym or something like that. And all he does before now after 4 o'clock, he's got to eat a lot. But I
yeah.
would imagine. But man, that's a crazy diet.
It is, intermittent fasting, the idea of like taking a long time between your last meal in the evening and your next meal the next day is pretty popular. A lot of people, that'll sometimes go till like noon, um, going until fours. Like that's a long time. That's a long time to not consume. But a lot of people really swear by it. The idea that your body starts to burn those calories and then you constrict your window of eating. And the idea is that you generally just eat less when you only give yourself a limited window to consume, whether that's 6 or 8 hours during the day. That's when you do all your eating, and so people really swear by it and have gotten great results by it. I've definitely moved to trying to eat a lot less in the mornings. It used to be something where I'd get up and just because I wanted to, not because I needed to, I just grab a snack, and swallow 300 or 400 calories without thinking about it. And those add up over the course of a day, over a week. Those add up. And again, for folks that are thinking about trying to lose weight or change their nutrition a little bit, one of the biggest things that people miss is just simply taking protein. Consuming protein. You can get whey protein, or if you can't have animal protein. You can get pea protein, but just it's extremely satisfying. It fills you up. It gets you some minimal calories. It gets you critical protein, and you can continue on and then have that bigger meal later. So not quite Derrick Henry by any means. That's a pretty disciplined diet that he's on. But that idea of intermittent fasting is really popular and can be really successful for people.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting. But yeah, so far so good, Andy. 205, here I come.
You look good,
So
Dave. You got it. You got it. We believe in you.
there we go. All right. All right, Andy, let's go to our standard Wednesday segment on our top five NFL teams. But before we do that, Andy, any thoughts, any lingering thoughts from the Monday night games? What like that Jaden Daniels, the
Yeah.
Commander team looking good, and that Bengals team is in trouble.
Yeah. So, but quick thought on both of those,
Yeah.
and I'll add one more. I mean, on the Bengals, they often start slow, but this is really slow. This is,
Yeah.
there's always a couple teams that you expect to do well that don't quite get there. Now, again, it's still early. Teams can rebound. They come out of the bye week. They're different teams sometimes, but there are questions definitely around Cincy this season. Like they should be doing better than they are. Jaden Daniels, look, every draft is funny, right? You've always got the big names. You've got the names that, make it, right? But people aren't paying much attention to. Jaden Daniels might be the best quarterback that came out last year, right? I mean, Caleb Williams got all the attention. He was the big hype. Washington's definitely in a rebuild, right? New coach, new owners, traded away some of their best players last year, and they're coming out and they're playing decent football. And Jaden Daniels is a big, big part of that story. Accuracy, he can throw the long ball, he can run. And look, he's a slender guy out there. He looks pretty small compared to those, behemoths on the football field. He's taking hits, he's running the ball. He looks like he could be the real deal. Washington's been a long time since they were committed to a really good quarterback. They had Kirk Cousins, but that was a whole disaster of a romance and just wasn't managed well. Nothing to do with Kirk Cousins' performance. But Washington hasn't really believed and invested and had a franchise quarterback in a long, long time. And as much as I'd like to make fun of the Washington D.C. team, I'm excited for them. I'm excited to see Jaden Daniels play well. I hope he can keep it up. He looks right now like a big, big talent. I just got to say, I said this on Threads. People came back and pointed out to me, like I made some statements about the Panthers on Sunday before the game. Andy Dalton proved me wrong, man. I
Yeah.
got my face. I got my face. So there's my other thoughts, but I
There
guess
you
we'll
go.
get into the main segment here. What about you, Dave? Anything jump out at you from the last games of week 3?
Just how bad the Cowboys are. But yeah, we don't need to talk about that anymore. Okay, Andy, let's go to our top five, and then I want to do one thing at the end. Let's do a who's your worst team in the NFL too. So let's add that piece in there. So, all right, Andy, do you want to do your top five, or you want me to start?
I can do mine if you want, because mine's pretty boring. I think
Yeah. Okay. Go
there's
for
nothing
it.
exciting about it. So I always do mine in the blind, right? I think through it. I look at the teams and I come up with mine. And I like to check it against the NFL power rankings just to see like, am I out to lunch this week, Dave? We were one for one. I mimicked the NFL power rankings, and so disappointing to always say the same thing, but I think it's accurate. So I'm holding on to Philly. I still believe in Philly. I was tempted to put the Texans in, but I'm putting Philly at number 5. My Detroit Lions looked strong. Put them at number 4. Dave, shocked myself here, but gotta respect reality. Right now, going into week 4, Sam Darnold, the Minnesota Vikings, number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't deny where they're playing right now. I don't know if they're going to keep it up, but they might. So I've got them at 3. Then Josh Allen and his Buffalo Bills playing great ball, looking good. And then, of course, at number 1, still undefeated, still the reigning Super Bowl champions, still the nemesis of the Buffalo Bills and the entire AFC. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are still the best team in football, Dave. And until somebody can beat them and show otherwise, they're the Kings.
Yeah, this is good. That's good, Andy. I mean, I think I'm gonna mirror a lot of what you have there. I didn't hear Steelers in there, Andy. So you're not.
No, and it was a temptation, but like we said on Monday, I'm not a believer yet. I want to believe. Yeah, I'm happy for the team, but I think they're not Seattle soft. I don't think, but I don't think they're a top 5 team. Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I can respect it, Andy. I can respect it. I'm gonna go slightly different because I'm gonna have still some teams that I believe in, even though their record may not be there. But I'm going with Kansas City number one. I think that's
Yeah,
no more to say. Buffalo has really impressed me. I don't think I had them high. I didn't. They weren't in my original top five,
yeah,
but they looked the real deal. They just obliterated Jacksonville. Jacksonville's not a good team. They may be the my worst team, but Jacksonville's not a good team. But they did what they needed to do. They stepped on their necks, and that was it, right? And so Buffalo number two. I am gonna go with the Steelers number three here
wow,
over the Vikings because I just think that the Steelers defense is so good.
wow,
And I think it's gonna and I do think Fields is getting more comfortable and confident. Now this could change all next week.
yeah,
But I for today, I that's where I'm gonna go with.
all right,
Uh, and then Andy, I will say number four, I'm gonna go with your Detroit Lions. That was an impressive win last week
yeah,
because not like I still think that the offense it needs a little bit more. Like, let's not get overly fancy here. You're better than most of these teams. Like, just act like it. But you need to score more than you can't get shut out in the second half. Now, the good thing is the defense is really good.
yeah.
So, and that Cardinals offense is really good. So that's that. And then number five, instead of the Vikings, I'm leaving the Vikings out, Andy. I am gonna stick with the Ravens. I think
Wow.
at one and two, and yes, they need to be able to put teams away, but at one and two, Andy, I think this team is primed. So let's see where they go over the next several weeks. But
Yeah,
that's
I
my
like it.
top.
Some bold picks in there. I mean, hey, Pittsburgh appreciates you. The Steelers, I think they want respect. I think they're happy to get, your respect. So that's a good one. And holding on to, like, I get the temptation to hold on to the Ravens because they are better than one and two. They are. I mean, this is still the team that kicked the shit out of Detroit last year. I'm not going to forget that. But that's bold. Putting a one and two
Yeah,
team in your top five. That's
I'm
ballsy.
bold, Andy. I'm
Yeah,
bold.
you're
So,
bold. You're bold.
so. All right, Andy. With that, it was a top five. Who's your worst team in the league? Just the worst, not like
Yeah,
top bottom
yeah.
five. Just the worst.
I mean, look, after Andy Dalton screwed up my mind and showed me that's completely wrong, and Carolina Panthers fans, I'm sorry, Andy Dalton, you did it. The worst in the NFL right now, while the Jags are tempting because they're playing not to their standard, but the worst team, look, Tennessee's not getting it done. Like they look like they're not an NFL team right now. They're about to get relegated. If this was a Premier League, they're not playing good football. Tennessee Titans are drifting right now, Dave. They're the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm that's where I'm going too, Andy. Look, my decision was between Tennessee and Jacksonville. The weird piece is like there are like good players. They have good players at skill positions on both of those teams.
Yeah.
What's the common factor right now is their quarterback play has been terrible. Like Will Levis has been terrible. Um, Trevor Lawrence, if you remember, they called it Trevor Bank Field for a day at Jacksonville, and he threw up a stinker. That he's been awful. And they just gave him a contract extension, Andy. So I know a lot of people in Jagsland, including my son, are not very happy at this point.
I,
So,
I, I got I gotta believe in him still. Like and maybe I'm biased. I like the Eagles and I like Doug Peterson. I still believe in Doug Peterson. I still believe in Trevor Lawrence. He was the most surefire NFL draft pick I think in my lifetime. Like I mean,
mhm.
everybody knew Trev was going to be great, and he came in the league. He didn't do badly at all. He looked like a good developing talent on a bad team. He's got a good coach. I don't pay enough attention to Jacksonville to know what's really going on down there in Duval, but I still have faith in Dougie and Trevor Lawrence that they're going to get that corrected. So let's see. Let's see if they can do it.
Let's just like Dougie, I'm not so sure on Andy. Like he was better than Urban Meyer, who was a disaster, but he's
Well,
still
come on. I'm better than Urban Meyer, Dave. That guy.
All right, Andy, let's go to our last segment. That was good. Andy, this is gonna be all over the place. I'm gonna go a couple different directions, but did you note that the Thunderbirds Marvel movie trailer came out? Um did you see this? I sent it to you, but I don't know if you watched
I
it or
haven't had a
not.
chance to watch it yet, Dave. No, I didn't. I
Okay.
didn't see it. I'm sorry.
You don't need to watch it to know. Like just as background for those who may not know the Thunderbirds, you remember a couple years ago that DC had the Suicide Squad, of all the like bad guys who were trying to save the world or something
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the same type of thing is happening here, except we in the DC Suicide Squad, a lot of people didn't know those characters. However, on the Marvel side, you will reference or recognize a lot of the characters because they pop up in previous movies and such. So, like the Winter Soldier, for Black Widow's family is on the other side here. That was teased before. You remember from cat or what is it, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show. There was also the bad Captain America. I can't remember his name. Anyways, there were a
U.S.
bunch of
soldier.
those. Yeah, there were a couple of those people in there, and
Yeah,
now they're going to come together. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who I mentioned a couple weeks ago, is one of my crushes of all time.
yeah,
She's playing the head person here, and the goal is, I think she has a line in the trailer that says something, there are good guys and there are bad guys and there are worse guys. And so I think that there's some parts there where it looks fun. It was a really
yeah.
long trailer, 3.5 minutes. I think it looks pretty interesting. I'm gonna go see it. I think it warrants after what they did with Deadpool. I'm hoping that these things are gonna be a little bit better. Where they're going with Doctor Doom and such.
Yeah.
Maybe Marvel's gonna right the ship here and start going back up again. But do you think you'll go watch this movie, Andy?
I think I'd like to. I'm have to convince my wife to spend a night, watching it. I think I can get that buy-in. I do believe that it'll be fun when Marvel gets away from the complexity, right, and just
Hmm.
gives us some humor, some laughs, it's really good. And I think this movie has the potential to be that, to be really good. So I'm hoping they can do it.
Okay. All right. Well, good on that, Andy. So, Andy, I want to take another, I recounted a little bit of wedding stories over the weekend. I talked
Yeah.
about the cousin Frank, who really wasn't a cousin, but I want to now take on the dark side of the
Oh,
wedding weekend. And
uh-oh.
this is also dealing with family, Andy. And so, my side of the family, I hadn't seen some of my brothers in 10 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And they came to the wedding. It was a lot of fun. We did some shots. I think you'll recall a wedding that you helped us with years ago.
Yes.
I'll let you share that story in a minute. But I also had another family member who came, and this family member is a little unusual. She's got a up and down relationship with the rest of my family, but there were two instances, and this person was invited to the bridal shower that prior to the wedding day. And prior to this weekend, she had called and said, you know complain to the person hosting the bridal shower. She had never met this person ever before, but she came and started complaining and yelling about the bridal shower. And
Oh man.
why are you having it the day before the wedding? Why, are we expected to bring gifts? I already gave gifts. And why are you asking for more gifts and
Oh
such?
wow. Oh wow.
So like that was a little like, so I had to like kind of smooth that one out.
Yeah.
And then on the again, the day before, there's a bridal shower. So she shows up there early, like 30 minutes early. And the person came out hosting the showers, came out and said, "Hey, thanks for coming. You're a little early, but we're happy to have you. Come on in. And
Yeah.
but can you move your car? We're trying to park people over here." And the response was, "Well, why didn't you have parking signs up? Why didn't you tell people where to park?" And like, mind you, this is a residential area. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
like, let's just use some
Sorry,
common
the
sense.
valet wasn't available. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and then the lady was like, "Oh, that's fine, but can you just park over here?" And he's like, "I will if you get out of the way,"
Oh
and
wow.
almost like indicating I'm going to run you over. And then the last straw, Andy, came at the reception of the wedding. Everybody's happy and fun. The seating chart has been set up. Andy, we can recount funny seating chart
Yes.
stories
I
from
still
our ROTC days, but we had her sitting with the rest of my family. Now, my brother brought his daughter who was there, and we had the daughter sitting at another table with younger people, like people more her age, and we thought that might be more appropriate for her. Nobody cared except my family member.
Yeah.
She took it upon herself to right the wrong that we had created and changed her seating assignment to now she would sit at that table with the younger people, and my brother's daughter would be able to sit with them. And she said, again, she's righting the wrongs that have been done to everybody here by
Injustice. Yeah.
inappropriate sitting. But now she's sitting at the table with young people and completely out of place, and almost ruined it for these people who were at the table because she's just a stick in the mud and she was like grumpy and complaining and such. Now, good on these younger folks at the table. And when I say younger, they're probably in the mid 20s,
Yeah.
they were fun with her. They tried to crack the shell, and
Yeah.
they did a decent job. But man, I tell you, like, can't you just go there and just do what you're asked to do and just like can't I mean, it's not about you. I mean, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
So
Dave, it's, family dynamics are tricky. And when you've got, something like a family wedding, you bring people in, like some of that just comes out, right? Some of that tension, difficulty comes out. Sounds like you handled it with, grace and skill as the father of the groom. Sounds like you handled it well. But yeah, it's tough because, you can't have that stress carry over into the celebration, and you've got to manage that, special family member, and it's complicated for sure, for sure. I'll tell you, one, I'm glad that it ended up going well for you and the kids were able to have, manage the situation effectively, which, 20-year-olds are pretty smart and they can do some pretty clever things. They can pick up on things pretty well, I'd say. I still get grief about your allusion to our changing seats many, many years ago. My wife still gives me grief about it, Dave. I'm reminded of that. That's a story for another day. But yeah, some things don't go away even after 2.5 decades. So that's one. But I will share this story just for listeners as we wrap up, Dave. The last Pounder wedding that I attended, Dave, many years ago, one of your brothers getting married. You asked me to come be a simple bartender. I was handing out some drinks and there, and I loved it. Your family's great. It was a lot of fun, a wild bunch. And so, Dave, I'm preparing to leave because it's time for Andy to go home now. The Pounder party was not going to end, but my night had to come to an end. So I'm going to leave, and I get pulled to a little side room with like three or four of your uncles or whoever they were. I don't recall. They're like, "Hey, come on, have a drink with us." I'm like, "Sir, thank you. I'm sober. I've got to drive home." And they hand me a shot and they say, "Have one for the road." And I was like, that is
it's a
exactly
great,
not what you're supposed to do.
yeah.
I'm underage. I'm driving home. I don't need a shot for the road. So I know how those Pounder family gatherings go. I can only imagine the celebration in Cleveland as your eldest son got married, and I'm sure it was great. I'm sure it was wild. Dave, I'm so happy for you and your family. So the Pounder clan knows how to celebrate. I hope it was everything they should have been, sideways family member aside.
Yeah, I did give our bartenders a little, like I pulled them aside and said, "Hey, look, if anybody gets a little out of control here, just point them my direction, let me know." But yeah, that was a fun time. I remember that.
Yeah,
You did come in a pinch for us to help to do the bartending there. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot
that
of
was a
fun.
lot of fun. It
So,
was a lot of fun.
all right, Andy, I think that wraps up a good Wednesday. We covered a lot of ground today. I'm happy for us. So,
We did.
uh, good top five, good bottom one. We'll
Yeah.
see how it plays out this week. We got a football game this week. I think the Cowboys are playing the Giants. I know they're playing, but I'm probably not going to watch a whole lot of this game. One, because the Giants are awful, but I think the Cowboys are just as bad. So, if the Cowboys don't come out, Andy, and squash the Giants,
Yeah.
then like I think I'm done for the year. So.
If Danny Dimes beats you guys, Dave, I'm
I
gonna have to give some shit on Monday
I
because
I won't might not be on the pod on Friday, Andy, if that
that's fair.
happens.
That's
So,
fair. Fair.
all right. All right, Andy, with that, I'll catch up with you next time.